We've got a quorum. We'll go ahead and get started.
You said you're ready.
All right. All right. Y'all, it is about 2 minutes after 6. We better get started. We have a quorum. And so it is a pleasure to call this meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for the City of Natchez to order. I'd like to invite everyone to please stand and let us join together in a word of prayer to be followed by our pledge. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. And Father, we thank you for your blessing upon our community. Father, we do lift up the family of Britton Gamble tonight. What a wonderful lady and someone who meant so much to our community. And truly hearing the news of her passing today, our hearts are heavy. But Father, let us now be mindful that we have a task to perform, and that is to make decisions that are in the best interests of our city. Let us work together in harmony and in unity to do that which is best. And Father, just thank you for every day you give us. We also, Lord, thank you during this holy week. I thank you, Lord, for my risen Savior and for what Easter means to all of us. In his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let us now join together in our pledge. I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall. Here. Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith. Here. Alderwoman Irving.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, all are present and accounted for with the exception of Alderman Frazier.
And I believe he's en route.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. We will now have approval of minutes. I'll call on you, Madam Clerk.
Okay, got 3 sets of minutes. First set being regular meeting of February 27th.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded. Seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
All right, second set of minutes would be for the special called meeting held on March 18th, 2024.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion? We'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Third set of minutes would be from the special called meeting held on March 19th, 2024.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Yes,
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I just want to allude to the time of the meeting, Mayor. I was not informed, but I did see where a call had been made, or maybe a text message to my phone, saying that we had a special call meeting. But in lieu of me getting to a meeting at 2:00 without having the day before, it's almost impossible to do. So that was the same morning of the meeting that I could not leave to come
Okay.
to attend the meeting. So for in the near future, can we please have a meeting at 3:30, 4:00?
Alderwoman Irving, we do our best, but that was a very important issue that we had to take care of with regards to a question regarding our executive committee meetings that we held, on that prior day. And we had to take care of that. We attempted to call you, text you. You still have not responded to either a phone call or text from me or from my office. As I told you at our last meeting, when I call you, it is important. When I text you, it is important. I have been able over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks to speak to 5 of these 6 alderpersons, but you continue to ignore my calls, my texts, and I haven't seen you in City Hall since December. And so if anyone wants to make an issue of this, I will be the one to make it. Thank you.
Let me say this, Mr. Mayor, and I'm not going to go back and forth because I'm not here to have an argument what you're trying to do. Then you haven't been in City Hall, because I have. You haven't personally seen me there, but I've been in City Hall since then.
I'm
Megan
sorry,
can
we'll
attest to
continue
that.
the discussion. Any further discussion on the motion?
But what I can
We'll
say
call
is that
for
I
the
think that is
question.
unethical that you do that,
We'll
and that's
call-
what that is.
we'll
That's
call for the
unethical
question.
conduct.
We will, I'm sorry, I have details and my office does as well, but we are not going to reveal those
Yeah, you
this
do that.
evening. But I do want to say I am very grateful for 5 of these 6 alderpersons who work with me in furthering the Natchez renewal and taking care of the business of our city. I will now call for the question.
Oh.
Thank you. I will move to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. City business. We will now have a public hearing for our cap loan for the new fire truck. I will now call for a motion for us to go into a public hearing for this discussion.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. We will call for the question. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. We are now in a public hearing. I would like to invite our police chief to come and give us a report on where we are with the purchase of our new fire truck.
Fire chief.
I'm sorry, I'm a little rattled because I work very hard for the city of Natchez, and I'd resent it when anyone indicates that I don't. And I am a little rattled, and you'll just have to forgive me for that. Chief Arrington, we're glad to see you. Where are we?
Good afternoon, everybody. So we have received all of the paperwork from the county. That application has been filled out and sent to our city clerk. So now we are waiting on signatures from you and the county. Of course, we are dealing with our cap loan process, but everything else has been dealt with. We just waiting on signatures from the county and then to complete this process here.
That is great news. It is. Well, this being a public hearing, we do invite anyone who is here who has any public comment on this procedure for applying for a cap loan. I do want to correct some misinformation that has been circulating. The city clerk because
Finance, community-based projects, and fire protection improvements, such as purchasing the new fire truck. The maximum cap loan term is 20 years. However, it's my recommendation only going 10 years for financing a vehicle. The interest rate for a cap loan used for tax-exempt activities such as this is 2% per year. The cost of the new fire truck, that we received, the pricing is $677,455. And the fire chief has already talked about that grant. It's a rural fire truck acquisition assistance program grant through the Mississippi Department of Insurance. And the application is for $90,000 for a grant to help with the purchase of the truck. Additionally, the city has $150,000 available to put down on this purchase. So this cap loan application will be for a maximum of $500,000, but the intention will be to only draw or borrow $437,500. We did increase it slightly in case the grant is not approved for the maximum 90,000, or if something comes up with other funding, other funds that we have set aside, and that sort of thing, just to kind of leave us a little bit of a buffer. With that being said, the city would repay the loan with monies received from the Mississippi Department of Insurance fire rebate funds, combined with general fund monies received from the county for fire protection. And that is a similar structure of how we did the financing for the aerial ladder truck that was bought several years ago, utilizing those fire rebate monies and cap loan, et cetera.
Excellent report. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will again, since we are in a public hearing, ask if we have any members of the public who wish to make any comments regarding this topic. Seeing that we have none, I will now call for a motion to, yes, Chief Arrington.
So the one thing that I wanted to add is that we have to complete the full application. We need to get with the county and get some paperwork between the two of us about our fire agreement.
Okay.
And as soon as that's done, that complete application can be sent off
All right.
to the state.
All right. And I know we're working on that right now.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I don't believe there is any further action required tonight on this topic. We've already had the motions, or do we need a?
Actually, there is a
will need a motion,
resolution to
a
proceed
resolution.
with the cap loan.
Okay, we'll take that up in just a moment. At this time, though, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing
So moved.
and return to our regular meeting. Alderman Davis has made the motion. Alderwoman Hall has seconded that motion. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. I will now entertain a motion to approve the resolution
So moved.
allowing us to proceed with the purchase of the fire
Second.
truck and applying for this cap loan. Motion has been made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Irving.
Mayor, can you do
Yes.
the resolution?
Yes. Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution?
Yes. Resolved this day that the city of Natchez is proceeding with the submission of a capital improvements revolving loan application in an amount not to exceed $500,000 for the purpose of purchasing an NFPA compliant Rosenbauer pumper fire truck with a preferred tax exempt rate of 2% in a term not to exceed 10 years. It is also understood that the city of Natchez will repay the cap loan with both general fund monies and funds received from the Mississippi Department of Insurance Fire Rebate Fund.
All right, thank you. I'll call for the question.
Call.
I'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much. And Madam Clerk, thanks for all your hard work. Chief Arrington, wouldn't be happening if it weren't for you. And Alderman Davis, Chairman of our Fire Committee. Kudos. You've been wanting this for a while.
Yep.
And thank you for your leadership. We will now move to our Department Director's reports. Mr. Rudder, Jody Rudder, City Inspector. You are now recognized.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
I'm asking permission from the board to add an AED or automated external defibrillator to the Convention Center, Senior Center, and Natchez Transit.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion? Very good thing, and we thank you. I do want to make mention of this. I actually ran into former Alderman and Mayor Pro Tem Dan Dillard's brother just today. It's been a year since we lost Dan Dillard, and our hearts are still heavy thinking back to that loss that we all experienced. I will have to say one of his last appeals was that we install defibrillators in our public buildings. And we were able to do that under his watch when he was the chair of our Public Properties Committee. And I know he would be very pleased to see this action being made. And I want to, right now, before we go any further, I'd like for us to have a moment of silence to remember our colleague and to also remember his family and friends whose hearts are still heavy. Amen. I'll call for the question. Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
I had one more thing.
Yes, Mr. Rudder.
I had put some handouts on your desk, and they're for the repairs to the lobby elevator at the convention center. This is to remove the front and rear door operators and replace with a new one. These physically open and close the doors. They are direct drive, belt-driven operators. The old door operator parts are no longer available. The price for these repairs is $41,877.87. That's on page 3 of your handout.
Okay.
Any questions?
And how does that compare to prior years?
Well, this is a repair on this. This is with Otis, who we have a service contract with. And we've been keeping this thing limping along for about 3 years now. We've known this day was coming, and they've been stealing parts off of things, but the parts aren't available.
Hmm.
So we kind of, it's that day. I mean, they always told me that day is coming. Well, we've
You're
kind of.
Mr. Mayor, can we have a motion then?
Yes, you're right. Alderwoman Hall, I'll recognize you for the motion.
Accept.
And I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Davis. We now have properly have a motion. Thank you, Alderwoman Hall. Further discussion? Yes, Alderman Frazier.
To be honest, we're gonna do it right. Let's put this in the minutes too, because this wasn't on the docket. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Um,
Alderwoman Irving.
so have we identified the funding? Would it be coming from public
It's
properties?
103, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
And
what,
I've gotten with Megan about it.
okay. Okay.
I
I
do
know it has
ask
to be
my
done.
other question. How does this compare to the pricing on other repairs? This is obviously,
This is high. I mean, because of the amount of work being.
it is
done.
just, it's the largest repair we've had to do to that
Yes,
elevator,
yes.
and it's just,
Right.
as you
And
said,
like I
it's
say, we have a contract with that company, and they treat us right. They've been helping us limp along for a while, I mean,
Okay.
like 3 years, so
okay.
it's.
Mr.
It's
Mayor,
fine.
Yes, Alderwoman
I think he also, Mr. Rudder also mentioned that some of the parts are obsolete, correct?
Yes, ma'am, they're not
Right.
available.
They're not
Right.
available,
Okay.
so we have to.
All right. Alderman Frazier?
This is the only contract or whatever we got.
We have a service maintenance contract with this company.
Oh,
They're
we
the ones
already
that
have
handle
service.
this,
Okay. All right. I'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rudder. Next item is Justin Dollar, Public Works. I see we have James Johnston here.
Mr. Dollar wasn't able to make it. He asked if I would present his item.
All right.
Does
Thank
not
you,
mind.
Mr. Johnston.
He did, it was specified on your respective, I think, agenda. 1241 Daisy Street, EWP, funding from the National Resource Conservation Service. Public Works Superintendent, Mr. Dollar, is requesting a motion to accept the notice of a grant and agreement award and to allow the mayor to execute, to allow the city to address bank stabilization along Daisy Street. Project budget total $107,231.25, federal funds totaling $82,293.55, and non-federal funds totaling $24,937.50. Pleasure of the board.
Billy Joe,
Pleasure of the board.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this.
second.
Alderman Frazier has made the motion. Alderwoman Irving
Notice
has.
of grant for Daisy Street.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Frazier has made the motion. Alderwoman Irving has seconded that motion. Any discussion? We will call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Johnston, since you were there, we will now go to your report,
Thank you.
so you don't have to get back, down, and back up.
Denise, yes. renovation of the Natchez Fire Department Stations 2022 capital improvements bond issue. Staff, in concert with consulting architect Wakehouse and Associates, is requesting a motion to approve change order number 1 totaling $1,670 to reducing the contract of Smith Painting and Contracting from $112,200 to $110,530.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call for the question.
Carl.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Natchez Convention Center bid package number 2 renovation 2022 Convention Center GOB. Staff, in concert with consulting architect Wakehouse and Associates, is requesting permission to advertise bid package number 2, the scope of work consisting of the redesign of the Convention Center's first floor primary public spaces, including entry lobby at Main Street entrance, public corridor from entry lobby to pre-function area, lobby at corner of Main Street and Canal Street, primary public toilets, pre-function lobby at Canal Street entrance, and the second floor pre-function room at top of grand stairs. The renovation is to include 6 breakout conversation rooms. The new design is to include arched transoms supported by new columns along the primary public corridor, defining distinct display seating areas and creating framed wall space for community display opportunities. And you see the detailed scope of work below. Pleasure of the board.
It's a pleasure of the board.
So
Alderwoman Hall has made the
Second.
motion, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. I am so excited. This is just going to be transformative of our convention center. The only frustration, and it's a good thing, is the convention center has been so busy that phase 1, which we bid a few months ago, they have not been able to start work because it's too busy. Hopefully, work will begin on the phase 1 in August. This one, obviously, we have time to get bids, get them in, award the contract, but it could be later in the year when we get to this one as well. But it is very good news, and thank you, Mr. Johnston. And we want to thank also Mr. Wakecaster, his team, and Marjorie Feltus Hawkins, who has developed such a fantastic plan for the new design of the interior spaces of our convention center. We will call for the question. The question's been called. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item.
Next item.
Receiving of bids, West Deers Lane, various drainage improvements, House Bill 603 during the 2023 legislative session. Bids for the above referenced drainage improvement project was received in the clerk's office at 10:30 a.m. on Thursday, March 21st. 2 bids were received, G. Rayburn Contracting LLC and Camel Construction Company, Inc. Funds allocated for this drainage project activity total $447,500. G. Rayburn Contracting has agreed to lower its bid to within the funds allocated for this project once the notice of award is approved. The consulting engineer is requesting a motion to accept the low bid of G. Rayburn Contracting LLC, subject to the contractor adjusting his bid to within the funds allocated for this drainage improvement project.
So moved.
Second.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Alderwoman Irving has seconded. Alderwoman Hall, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big deal.
Yes, first in the history of West Deers Lane.
Could you say that again?
It's the first in the history of West Deers Lane. It is receiving drainage.
And I was so honored to be with you at the church there in the area affected just a few weeks ago, where it was shared that this would be happening. I know Reverend Hunt
Yes.
was so excited, as all of those residents. I'm grateful, but I have to say I'm very grateful to our legislators for helping us with this. We'll call for the question.
Carl.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. I have to say, we have a wonderful lady that I almost couldn't see. Norma West is here, and I'm not going to have you wait any longer because I do have something under my report I'd like to go ahead and share. Now, this is more informative than anything. I'm making up new words tonight. This is something we're very excited about. As we shared recently, Congress passed and the president signed a bill known as the THUD bill, Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development. And that bill included a number of things for Natchez. And we want to thank Congressman Thompson for helping us with this, initiating the earmark on the House side. Also, Senators Cindy Hyde-Smith and Roger Wicker for working with us on the Senate side. And we also want to thank our former Congressman Michael Guest, who no longer in his district, but he is a member of the House Appropriations Committee, and he worked to make sure that our earmarks were kept in that bill, in spite of the attempt of some Republicans to remove that. So the good news is over $3 million is coming to Natchez. Included in that will be money for a new fire truck that is greatly needed by the county, for the airport to continue with our efforts to secure a commercial airline. Also included are drainage projects, and we will have details on that soon, for some areas in the Rolling Wood Drive area and also some areas of the Glenwood subdivision. Also included are funds for us to take a phase one approach to both Revels Plaza and the site of our Natchez U.S. Colored Troops Monument. We have determined that it is best to work toward developing the plans. They're done for Revels Plaza, but not quite for the U.S. Colored Troops site. It is best that we work these together so that eventually they can be bid together, so that they can then begin together, because it will be in our best interest to have a contractor work on both of these rather than piecemeal them, so to speak, and not get as good response. Contractors obviously respond better the larger the project. And also, we would like to do these simultaneously because these projects are so important to telling the history of Natchez. First, Hiram Revels, the first senator in the history of the United States to be a man of color. Not only that, the first member of Congress in the United States to be a man of color from right here in Natchez. We will be honoring him at Revels Plaza. Also, he was a chaplain in the U.S. Colored Troops out of the Natchez district. We have established a great relationship with Dr. Frank Smith and the National U.S. Colored Troops Monument and also African American Civil War Museum. We, as a result, through an agreement, now have over 8,000 names of those men who served our country in the U.S. Colored Troops out of the Natchez district. I want to thank Mr. Robert Purnell, his leadership, and his committee chairpersons and subcommittee chairpersons. And I also want to thank our amazing team, starting with Norma West and Reverend Burton Mitchell, and all of those and Friends of the Riverfront, DNA, and others who have been such a part of planning Revels Plaza. This will not be funds for a monument, but this will be funds for phase one, landscaping, infrastructure, lighting. We hope everything that then will lay the foundation for the monuments to come. So we don't have a formal document from the landscapers at this time to present. And also, Mr. Johnson has reminded me that until the federal earmark is received, we have to be careful. We don't want to take actions that are outside of the requirements of the grant, of the earmark. But at this time, we can have a motion that we combine these projects and encourage collaboration between the landscape architects so that ultimately we can approve them for bidding as one project.
Mr. Mayor,
So moved. It's
Alderwoman
on the
Smith has made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Alderwoman Irving.
I would
Alderman,
like the
Alderwoman
motion
Hall.
amended
Yes.
pending approval
Mm-hmm.
from Natchez Preservation Commission and Archives and History. They have
Okay.
to approve any landscaping
That's right.
in the historic area
Yes.
as well as infrastructure.
In all of our meetings, that has been reminded to every person present. And we
But it
all
has
know
to
that to be
included in the
true,
motion.
but let's please make that a part of the
It has to
motion.
be the motion.
Alderwoman Smith and Alderwoman Irving, okay? Thank you, Alderwoman Hall. We'll have any further discussion? We'll proceed to a
Mr.
vote.
Mayor, that includes the
Yes.
lighting.
Yes, yes, that will include the lighting, landscaping, trees, sidewalks, benches. We hope everything other than the monuments, but of course,
But we
that
should,
all depends on when we get the final
I would
bids.
recommend that they go to those two
Oh.
entities first, then come back to
They
us.
all know that, and we're dealing with landscape architects that are familiar with archives and history. And they've already had precursory approval through our Preservation Commission, but the final approval will have to come, of
That's
course.
correct.
Yes.
I have a question.
By the way, this is being entitled our Forks to Freedom Park.
Mhm.
And I would like that the motion indicate, because that is the name of the earmark. Alderwoman Smith, could we also please include in your motion for the improvements being made at Forks to Freedom Park to include Revels Plaza and the site of the Natchez U.S. Colored Troops Monument?
Yes.
Alderwoman Irving.
Yes.
Okay. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
So is there going to be a illustration of any kind like we've gotten before with the color troops, the exact location? Will we have an update with the landscaping and all of that?
And we've actually already provided in prior meetings, drawings of both
Yes.
sites and both plans. And this will be following exactly what's already been
In
presented.
those plans?
Mhm.
So nothing, seems to be a little more
Already what's
detailed.
been
Okay.
presented, yes. Mhm. This is just the next step in getting it done. We will now call for the question. Call. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much. And Ms. West, we saw Mr. Purnell earlier and he said he probably wouldn't be at the meeting personally, but I thank you for being here personally and for being so devoted to the project, as has been Mr. Purnell and all the members of both committees. Thank you. Thank you. We now will return to our agenda, and we are at the time of city officials' reports. Alderwoman Hall. I'm so sorry. Frankie, because I got out of sequence, I went right on across. We're coming back to you. Ms. Legault, you're recognized.
All right. Originally, I was approved to travel to Minneapolis, Minnesota for the American Planning Association annual national conference, April 12th through the 16th. In between this time that I got approval, two things have happened. One is that the APA, American Planning Association, is now offering an online conference. We will hear like the opening keynote speaker and so forth. That will be online. But then there will be some live sessions also, where we will be able to type in questions that we have of the people that we're speaking, and they will address those. That is considerably cheaper than traveling to Minneapolis. The other thing that's happened is this year, Mississippi and Alabama, each state of American Planning Association has a chapter. Well, this year, the Mississippi and the Alabama chapters of APA are going to have a regional conference in October. The exact date and location of the conference hasn't been decided. It will either be in Alabama or in Mississippi one, but we'll be finding that out probably hopefully by June. So I would like to attend that, which will still be within the confines of what was put in the budget for this year, but it will be cheaper.
Yes.
So I just wanted to let you know that I would like to do that if it's appropriate.
All right. Alderwoman
Second.
Hall has made the motion. Alderman Davis, second that motion.
Mhm.
And I'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries.
Also, I have included just January to March information from what we've been doing in the planning department. How many cases we've had. We've had 33 cases total submitted between January and March. And 2 of them are still pending because of incomplete application. They need to submit something else. We've had 6 paint applications. Again, 2 are incomplete. Planning cases, we've had 12, and all of those have been addressed as of this date. We've had 7 site plan reviews, and the site plan reviews are for the commercial projects. Normally for a commercial project, we have a pre-application meeting, and then they will submit something after the pre-application meeting where we discuss the project and what they need to show us. And then that will come in as plans. And so these are in various stages of this pre-application to application to finally getting approved where they can pull a permit for building or for site work. So those are listed there. We had 2 subdivisions that were approved. One is on Hunter's Lane, and that's off of, it's 61 South, but you turn like you're going into Live Oak. And Hunter's Lane, it was back in 2018, it was approved for duplexes. And there were going to be 9 lots with duplexes on each lot. They only completed 2 of those duplexes. So another LLC has purchased the property. And what they want to do is across from where the 2 duplexes are, put 2 more duplexes. But then the other 5 lots will be single family homes, more like starter homes, that people could move into. So that was approved just this month, and so they'll be proceeding with that. The other one was the parking lot that's at the corner of Canal and State Street where Medicaid parks. They had been having some problems with people parking in the Medicaid area that was assigned to them. So Stallman Properties with Deborah Stallman asked if we could subdivide that property so she could put up signs that said Medicaid only and then parking for the general public. So those were the 2 subdivisions.
That's a great report. Thank you.
And then we've had 6 signs submitted. 3 we're in the process of approving. Of course, one of them is down on the bluff where they're replacing the Magnolia Casino, and they're changing colors, and that's been the big thing. That's was getting those colors approved through the preservation, and also they've changed the location of the stop sign. A new stop sign was put up. So we're in the process of negotiating that because of the width of the sign. The sidewalk kind of curves. So at one point you had 90 inches. And now if it's going to be closer to Canal Street or Broadway, then it's going to have to be a little bit narrower. So it won't project into the sidewalk area. So
we really appreciate that great report. That's very positive news. No doubt this is a busy city, and we're so glad to know
it should
that
get busier.
our planning commission's on top of it. Thank you. I've been reminded we do have a matter on the city clerk's report that we probably should go ahead and take up now because we have 2 gentlemen who are here. One who's traveled across the state to be here, and we don't need to hold them all night. And so, Madam Clerk, this is the follow-up to our meetings last week on garbage and disposal services for the city of Natchez. And so, Madam Clerk, I know we, in our meeting last week, our second meeting, special meeting, we asked you to work with the 4 companies that have provided proposals. We gave them until noon Friday to, quote unquote, sharpen their pencils and to answer various questions. And so we would like to now recognize you to provide us a report on where we are with that process.
So I did hear back from each of the 4 vendors, being Aero Disposal, Hometown Waste, Waste Management, and Waste Pro. I provided an updated spreadsheet that I gave you all last week with the last 2 pages having the the most recent information that they provided, which was more or less a little more clarity on some questions that were posed at the special call meeting last week as far as the white good and bulk landscaping material, kind of what the schedule of pickup would be. Would that be for once a month, twice a month, once a week? We discussed a cap on the CPI. We discussed removing fuel adjustment clause from the contract. Discussed which landfill, stating which landfill would be used and so forth. So all of that information has been added into this spreadsheet. And I came with a recommendation this evening if you all are ready to move forward with a recommendation.
Before you do that, I want to make sure, we've been very transparent, since our, incident last week where we had an executive session that frankly, we shouldn't have had. To make sure that we are continuing our transparency, have you provided reports
I did.
to the media of the revisions
I
to those
did
rates?
provide copies of the
Okay.
updated spreadsheet
All right.
out in the
Okay.
seat with the copies of the agenda
Okay.
for anybody who would like
Have,
copies.
and everyone has access to that. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. What is your recommendation?
My recommendation, after further discussions with the vendors, and, providing more clarity, in the new information that they sent over, putting all of this together, do find, that Aero Disposal Services provided the best rates, for the potential services that the mayor and board would want to consider. So it is my recommendation to award the contract with ADSI, but to allow myself to continue further discussions in regards to the exact services that we would want included in the final contract.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation from the city clerk,
Second.
Aero Disposal.
Thank you. Thank you. Alderman Frazier has made the motion. Alderman Davis has seconded that motion. We'll have discussion. I would like to know, Madam Clerk, what are the various services that we are looking at having in that final contract?
So in the discussions that we had leading up to the submission on Friday, they did disclose that the landfill that they would be using would be Plantation Oaks Landfill, which is the waste management owned landfill in Sibley, Mississippi, our local landfill. We are discussing now twice a week garbage versus once a week garbage, once a week recycle, and how you all would want to proceed as far as white goods and bulk landscape. They did provide options for once a week, twice a month, and once a month. And so, just providing more time to get you all's wishes, give you all an opportunity to look over this before any finalization of contracts,
Okay.
to make sure that it's all done.
All right, and I want to ask this. We know you were there to answer questions. To my understanding, 5 of the 6 aldermen have talked to you today.
That's correct.
That's true. Alderwoman Irving, if you have any questions about this, would you please contact the city clerk just as the other 5 have?
Well, I had the information and I did look over it in my packet.
Okay.
So the only question that I would have is, what day had we decided with the white goods? That was the only thing. Looking at this is pretty obvious with the dollar amount. And according to state law, we have to accept the lowest and best bid. And so that is the bid. And I see the offers that have been made.
So I think that the best offer there is going to be twice a month pickup for white good and bulk landscaping, if you also wish to add that service.
Okay.
But again, I want to give everyone ample time to review this
Okay.
and come to me with any further questions. And then that still gives me time to continue communication with that vendor on any additional questions that come up.
Okay,
But I think that, is the best recommendation.
I want to thank the aldermen who have been in communication with you on this. Continue to study the figures. If you have any questions, please reach out to the city clerk because we need to make this final decision. I was hoping we could make it today, but I understand there are a number of things to consider and factors to weigh. I like the motion though, because it at least established the fact that we do have a very good proposal. But I also want to thank Waste Management in continuing to desire the services at the local landfill. And I'm glad to know that Arrow has been working to make that a part of our services going forward. Because we like having the local landfill and we like creating jobs here at home and supporting a home-based company. I'll call for the question. Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, thank you. You've put a lot of work into this. And thank you to both gentlemen for being here this evening. Thank you. We will now go back to our regular agenda and we'll take up our city officials report. Alderwoman Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, Mr. Mayor, when are we looking at beginning our phase 2 of our LED lighting project? Because I'm hearing a great deal of gratitude from our city for the 1,000 lights we have already put out. But there are some communities or areas in our community that need more.
I will tell you, Alderwoman Hall, I'll entertain a motion now if you would like for us to reach out to Entergy for their proposal on phase 2.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Alderwoman Hall and Alderman Maroney. Alderman Davis beat you by a millisecond. Alderman Davis has the second. I will say we are getting we got great feedback today on just what an impact this project has had on the safety and security of our city. So thank you for your motion. We'll call for the question. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
My other,
Thank you. Yes,
You're welcome.
Alderwoman.
Other report, I'd like to congratulate Mrs. Tamla Hughes. She is the Natchez High School Teacher of the Year, the Natchez Adams School District Teacher of the Year, and today she was interviewing as a state finalist for Teacher of the State of Mississippi.
That's wonderful.
And that concludes my
That's
report.
the first time a teacher from Adams County, Natchez Adams County, has been considered for that honor.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're very
Thank you.
proud of Ms. Hughes. Thank you, Alderwoman Hall.
You're welcome.
Alderman Frazier, your report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I attended an NAACP forum group campaign, although I don't have an opponent, but I did attend it and express my thoughts and beliefs about what is coming up for the future in the city of Natchez. The forum was a very nice forum in the day, so I just want to add that to it. Also, I have an issue that is very, very disheartening to the community, especially to my ward. This week, I noticed over at North Natchez Park, the dumpster over there, someone they done brought their whole house over there and dumped furniture and stuff at the dumpster. I mean, whoever did this need to go to jail for the disfigure our park like that. It's a disgrace for them to do that. If I don't know who did it, and I say it again, they need to go to jail. We spend plenty of money, the city spend all kinds of money to keep our parks up for someone to bring their furniture, their household furniture and stuff over there in the dumpster, just fill it up like they own the dumpster. It's just hard, and we, like I say, this board worked hard. We done bought new playground equipment, all kinds of stuff for them to do our park like that. They should respect our park. They should respect our city. And that's it. We as a board spending our hard-earned, the people's money to keep these parks up. One more thing I would like to say too. I would like to say, I know we're trying to get everything done with these parks. I was wondering if we can see about getting the spray park up and running this year, because that is needed to the community. So I would like if we could do that to get that done. Like I say, Mr. Mayor, like I said, we have an election coming up this year, and I just hope and pray that we as a board, all of us can come back and work together as one and as one city. So that's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier, and
Mayor, may I add to his complaint?
yes, Alderman.
And I have spoken with Mr. Johnston about this as well.
Mhm.
I also noticed that the dumping over at the park, but also along Lewis Drive, there is furniture on the side of the road that people are also using that as a dump site and continue to just throw trash from their cars onto Lewis Drive. Mr. Dollar, at my request, has put up 2 signs at both entrances. The $500 fine for littering is on both ends of Lewis Drive, and they continue to litter that street, but now using it as a dump site. So Mr. Frazier is correct about dumping.
And you know, we now have a $1,000 fine for littering at our parks. But I agree with you, Alderman Frazier. They need to be in jail. Anyone I totally agree. I would like to ask our chief of police to have the police investigate this incident. We do have cameras there at the North Natchez Youth Center. I would like for you to do whatever you can to see what happened here. And it is a shame that our city personnel have to clean it up. And Alderman Frazier, I love your idea for bringing back the spray park for North Natchez Park. I know we're working on a phase 2 for our parks, and we definitely need to have that on the top of the list. And thank you for that request. And thank you for your comments about working together, working as one. And I just want to thank you, Alderman Frazier, for your kindness to me and your gentlemanly conduct. Alderman Frazier.
Let's gotta get it twisted now, Mr. Mayor.
I just gotta, no, I don't want to move on because I want to say I have enjoyed working with Alderman Billy Joe Frazier these last few weeks. And I just want it said that I thank you because it's a two-way street and you have definitely shown yourself to be a gentleman in working with me.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate that. Like I say, and I say this in all honesty, this is not my seat. This is the people's seat. Whatever I do is for the citizen of Natchez. When I speak out for the citizen of Natchez.
Yes, sir.
But as I would say it and say it again, we all need to work together because Natchez is one city. It's not just this side of town, this side of town. It's everybody's city. So in order for all the thing to work, we got to have diversity and we got to have to work together.
Well said. Well said. Thank you. Alderwoman Smith.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, I wanted to just offer our condolences on the loss of Jason Tyson, the owner of the donut shop. It's a huge loss to our community, and I would just ask that we close our meeting in silence for him.
Thank you.
And that's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We have suffered some loss recently, and that was just tragic. And it was due to unsenseless vehicular violence. And we have a family, children, loved ones, mother, wife, co-workers who will never be the same. Thank you. And so I'll entertain that motion at the conclusion of our meeting. Thank you. Alderwoman Irving?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I want to piggyback on what, Alderwoman Sarah Carter Smith just stated, with Mr. Jason Tyson. He was truly loved in the Faraday community. The comments, the prayers, just the thoughtfulness of everyone in that community sharing. That happened over there, actually in the area where I teach every day. And the youth, the entire community has been impacted by the loss of Mr. Tyson in that community. And it's been shared over and over on Facebook. They did a makeshift down at the donut site, where the building is there.
Makeshift shrine.
Just, to indicate the love that he shown to this community and how much he was loved in our community as well. I also want to thank Mr. Porter. I see he followed through with removing the tree from the Jack Wake Park. That tree has been removed, so thank him for following through and getting that done. I want to inquire about our summer youth applications for our summer youth program. Are we doing that this year?
Yes, we do that
Okay.
every year.
Do you have a time frame that the applications will be available, and will we make that?
I believe they're available right now, and our HR department is handling that. Ms. Caroline Deason can answer any questions you have, sir.
So do you think that's something that needs to go to the media? And my reason for asking, because you get so many calls.
It usually does, and she actually reached out to me this afternoon, and I haven't had time to call her back, and it may very well be about that.
Okay.
Okay?
So with that being said, then that way I can direct those calls to
Yes.
our HR person. The other thing, Mr. Mayor, I had considered, I know we work around a lot of confidential information, but just to have other students job shadowing. I know we have our Mayor's Youth Council, but job shadowing is a good idea, even beginning with your position, Mayor. Maybe they can shadow you, our city clerk, our HR person, just to give them a feel of what it's like to be in government for a day.
Yes.
That may be something that we can coordinate with the school district. I will speak to that school board on that, but I think.
We've actually had summer workers in the mayor's office and in the city clerk's office every year.
Okay.
We have in our.
But I know that, but job shadowing is just a
doing
little
great
bit different. It just gets to sit in for that day and see how the duties are carried out for that day.
Yes.
And not that that person's sitting there the entire, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, in that position. Mr. Frazier also brought up the water parks, and I had here too, the water fountains in our parks. Will they be up and accessible for this summer, spring and summer? So we don't have water in the Concord Park, we don't have water in Jack Wake Park.
It's not a waste of water.
But we have bathrooms and
We
we
do.
encourage, but obviously we priced
it's
that
high.
in our phase one. And it was a very expensive item that we decided to put off until phase two, and we can certainly make note of that.
Okay. Do we have any idea when the aquatic center will open? Have we had any discussions with that?
We understand it will open as normal, and I have actually discussed this with Supervisor Ricky Gray just today and Supervisor Angela Hutchins on Friday. And I hope we'll have more to share in our next meeting.
Okay. And that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Alderman Davis?
Yes, Mayor, I want to congratulate Tracy Cook on becoming the Alcorn president. And also, I'm glad the one thing we're moving forward on the purchase of the fire truck. These steps we take, we've been taking, it's gonna help, it help going toward our fire rating so we can get it lower. Right now, we're 5, and we're trying to get it to a 4. And that means cheaper insurance, house insurance for the constituents of Natchez, and also helping the county too. That ends my report, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alderman Davis. Alderman Maroney.
You know, as I sit here, I think one of the things about being last is that so much has already been said by the time it gets to my turn. I am looking forward to finishing up the negotiations on this garbage contract. I feel confident that we're going to do well working with these gentlemen out here. Hopefully we can come up with some ideas to help prevent all the illegal dumping we have around the city. You know, things like what happened out at the park. I agree with Billy Joe, that's inexcusable. We've got to provide some services there
Right.
to give these people a way to, get rid of stuff. I mean, I've got a place, if I've got a big pile of limbs at my house, I've got a place I can take them and dump them. I've got a place out in the country that I can do that, but not everybody does. And so hopefully we can negotiate something with these folks to provide means to do that. I'm also very happy to see more streets getting paved. If they get finished with that, hopefully that'll finish up before long. And like Valencia asked about the street lights, I'm really looking forward to that phase 2 energy streetlight program being done. So I think that'll be a great improvement for everybody. That concludes my report.
That is great. Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Maroney. And yes, we are about finished with our street resurfacing project. And we are excited and we are seeing the improvement. Now, this is not all. We are working now on our microseal project, and there are some other great things to come. But that's a great report. Thank you all of our aldermen, alderwomen. We'll now move on to our city clerk. Madam Clerk, you're recognized.
All right. I've got several requests, the first being the approval of the second March 2024 claims docket.
It's a pleasure of the board.
Second?
Alderman Davis has made the motion, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I'm just asking, it's account number 001, page 11 in our claims docket. 001, 10610. And I just was is this for the conference in June or for a conference that they attended in January? It's two employees.
I would have to verify if that was an upcoming conference or the last conference. I would have to look at the invoice on that.
Okay, because you did mention that we were
Yeah.
already been registering.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so that I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay,
And that was all that I had there.
all right. Thank you. The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item is request for approval of the second March 2024 mini claims docket.
What is the pleasure of the board? Alderwoman Smith has made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? We'll proceed to, yes, Alderman Frazier.
The mini claim doc,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I
sir.
just have this 600, 1-263 or 2-600. What, it say, what is that? Vine Street?
Vines, oh, it
Yeah.
should have been tree services, not
Yeah.
street services.
That's-
Sorry, that was a typo.
Oh, it was in Vine Street. It was on Vine Street, right?
No, it was Vines Tree Services. That was for some work
Oh.
done out at the golf course.
Okay, okay.
All right.
Good catch. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay, next item is request for approval of the interfund loans.
It's a pleasure of the board.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item?
Okay, next item is request for approval of the interfund transfers.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call for the question.
Carl.
We'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
Okay, next item is request for approval of the payroll transfers.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Second.
Alderman Davis has made the motion. Alderwoman Hall has seconded that motion. Any discussion? We'll call for the question.
Paul.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
Okay, next item is request for approval of the fiscal year end 9/30/2023 municipal compliance questionnaire, which I just realized did not make it into your packets.
Right.
So we will hold off on that request until the next meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Will we
Next
get those in our mailbox?
I will make sure those go out in the next packet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. Next item.
Okay, next item is request for a revised resolution granting the exemption for the loss prevention services Franklin Street Properties LLC application for the ad valorem tax exemption. We did submit the previous resolution to the Mississippi Department of Revenue for approval, returned it back and said that we could not do it for 10 years, but for 8, because it should have began with the date of completion. And because they were late in their presentation and request with their application, that would be reduced to 8 years. So we revised the resolution from 10 years to 8 years and are now asking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Madam Clerk,
That concludes my report, Mayor.
thank you so much. City Attorney, Mr. Lazarus.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Board of Aldermen have already received a copy of the contract, proposed contract with Stan Tech.
I have more copies. This is what was provided at the last meeting, but just in case, we brought other copies in case you need it.
We've been in communication with Brian Johnson, with Stan Tech, and also with the Public Works and Mr. James Johnson, and with the mayor, attempting to work out minor details so we can get this contract approved. Our plan was to get this contract approved tonight, and of course, we're asking the city board approval. However, we have 3 minor modifications, 4 minor modifications that we're asking for. I've handed those out to the city board. We're asking for some type of guarantee. There's a disclaimer of a warranty in the contract, which we did not like. We'd like to have some type of warranty that will be done properly and that the inspections will pass the inspection. As you know, we're now limited to 5 tons, and we need to get that up high enough on tonnage to support a fire truck, a tour bus, a garbage trucks, and other heavy trucks that frequently use that bridge. Second problem is third-party contractors. We discussed this with Mr. Bryan, and he said that Stantec will not be responsible for any failures by third-party contractors. And it's the opinion of the city attorney that they cannot contract away something that they don't have, which is the right to guarantee somebody else's work. So we need that clarified. And then also on page 3, the contract says that the plans for the bridge, the engineering plans for the bridge will become the property or will remain the property of Stantec. We're asking that those plans, since we're paying for them, that those plans become the property of the city. And then there is no cap on quote unquote additional charges. We don't know what the additional charges might be. We understand that in contracting such as a bridge, and we all saw the tragic report today from Baltimore, so we're not going to squabble about additional charges, except we want either to be specified to the exact amount, or capped, preferably capped. We're of the opinion that these changes are minor, and we think they can be incorporated and approved. And basically, Mr. Johnson has approved most of these changes, but they're not formalized and they're not in the document. So we ask the pleasure of the board.
So
So
moved.
All right.
second,
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? Yes, Alderman Maroney.
I have kind of an issue, and so I want clarification. It's on page 2, City of Natchez would like warning from Stantec that the work will be done properly. And with the inspections done by Stantec,
They are the
they can inspect their own work.
I think that's exactly right.
They have that contract with the state. There's no way around it. They are authorized by the state.
Boy, I
As the
got
con-
much got
as
to
the
inspect all
inspector.
my own work and just clear everything I mean,
We thought that was strange too, and Mr. Johnson objected to that. But I don't think, as the mayor says, I don't think we have any choice.
We don't.
They are the contractor and they are the inspector. They will be able to inspect their own work, in my opinion.
Well, there you have it.
and then
Mr. Mayor?
clarification on page 3, Stantec will not be responsible for any failures by third-party contractors.
And we discussed that yesterday.
We did.
Jack, you want to elaborate on what Brian said yesterday?
Well, the contract says Stantec will not be responsible for any failures by contractors. My interpretation of that was that was Stantec, that they wouldn't be responsible for their own failures. I don't think you can contract that away either. But Mr. Johnson reassured me that that did not mean Stantec, that meant any other third party or subcontractors that they might hire, which I think is fair. I don't know that they need to be
Really,
able.
they're not going to take responsibility for the people they.
Well, they're the
they hire as
engineer.
Third-party contractors.
That's what the
They're-
contract.
Well, they're the engineer, but once they provide the plans, we then bid. And the construction company that is awarded the bid will then be the ones responsible if
Oh,
they
okay.
make
All right.
errors. That's right. No, they're still responsible for the work they provide,
Correct.
but when it finally bids, the construction company
Okay.
will then be responsible for anything they do.
That's, all right.
Yes,
Gotcha.
Mayor.
That's the way it was
That's a
explained.
subcontract?
The contractor, we're only contracting for engineer services.
Yeah.
At the end of the engineering services project, phase of this, we will then bid the project and then we'll enter into an agreement with the contractor.
Yeah, and whoever builds the bridge.
Alderman Frazier,
That's
does that
correct.
answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, Alderwoman Hall.
Mr. Lazarus, thank you for bringing these requested and necessary modifications to us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Lazarus.
That concludes my report. Mr. Mayor.
And I just sent a message to the state aid engineer, Harry Lee James, and to Mr. Brian Johnson that this was just approved and we are ready to roll. We need to get those repairs underway. We have also been assured that the repairs can take place without having to close the bridge. However, we want to remind everyone that the bridge is still posted only 5 tons or less. Chief Arrington, also, let's make sure that the signage that's in place is continually operative, making sure that nothing's disconnected. I went by recently and it appeared that someone had unplugged one of those signs. And we don't want anything to happen to anyone because they went across the bridge in a vehicle too large for the current weight bearing capacity of the bridge. And I would like for that to be placed in the minutes as well, that we have made that request that those signs be steadily monitored. And if any citizen should come across the bridge and see that that signage is not working, please inform us immediately or call 911. It's important that the warning signs continue to operate because it is for the safety of our community that we have those signs posted. And MDOT was good enough to post those for us in December, and we need to follow them. And just please make sure those comments are in the minutes. Well, we are now to the mayor's report. I don't think we're going to have this discussion on parking traffic issues at this time. I just want to inform the board that in looking at the contract with Volkert and beginning the discussions with Volkert on our parking and traffic study for downtown Natchez, we have determined that we may have a better alternative. And we want to make sure when we're spending taxpayer money that we're getting the best for that investment. And so we hope to have more information on that at our next meeting. Just wanted to let you know. We've already taken care of the next item. That concludes my report. Alderwoman Smith, I will entertain your motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to adjourn our meeting in silence in honor of businessman, family man, Jason Tyson, owner of the donut shop.
Second.
Thank you. That motion has been made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderwoman Hall. I would like to have that moment of silence now. Amen. I wanted the record to show that we have actually mentioned 3 important individuals this evening. Former Alderman and former Mayor Pro Tem Dan Dillard. Businesswoman and amazing Natchezian, Britton Gamble, and also Jason Tyson. We'll call for the question. Call. We'll proceed to the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much.